Welcome everyone. Sorry, I'm novice at this, and it's a learning experience for all of us. But what we're going to cover, thanks to ASBAS, obviously Business Station, brought to you by the federal government. We're leading off with the workshop on entrepreneurial intelligence. And we're going to cover vision, passion, brand. I'm going to spend a few minutes giving you an overview of what you can expect in the next 4 weeks. But today's obviously week one. I'll give you an overview. Today we're going to delve into vision. And you're also going to meet the wonderful business advisors that ASBAS has put together. Because following on from this, obviously it's not do the workshop and then away we go and it's finished and it's all over. You'll actually have a group of trusted advisors and really good advisors that will hold your hand through the process. So through the Business Station, obviously, and ASBAS, you'll have a team of people that will be able to specialize and delve into some of the obviously issues or areas that you want to explore further from this workshop. So to kick off, what are we going to cover in entrepreneurial intelligence? So people talk about being entrepreneurs. I don't like the title. It's not a title. You don't put on your business card. Entrepreneurship's all about intelligence, and intelligence where people look at things and say, I can do it different, I can do it better. And they go on to do amazing things, but not all people with entrepreneurial intelligence own their own business. And of course, this workshop over the next 4 weeks is specific around small, medium business, but not limited to business owners, because people within our organizations, we want them to have entrepreneurial intelligence. And whether you're an organization of 1, 2, 3, 4 or more, and whether you're working with somebody or not, you want to have this concept of entrepreneurial intelligence. And what exactly is it? Well, it's made up of vision, passion, and brand, right? And it's something that we're going to really, hone in on. You might have done some research around Simon Sinek, who talks about why, what, and how. It's very similar, but it's just put in a different way. This one brings it more to life. So vision, the clarity and power of a vision is essential to establish a direction for your business. This is the why, and we're going to cover that in detail today. Establishing that vision, what does it mean? How do you go about it? How does it impact on business, which therefore flows to entrepreneurial intelligence? Next week, we're going to talk about passion, and this is something that people get taken down the wrong road, unfortunately. Passion provides the drive and the energy to engage with the purpose and sustain a level of commitment to that purpose no matter what. And that is the what. Why is your vision, passion is your what. What are we going to do? And then it's once you've got your why and your what, you've got your vision, you've got your passion, you understand what you're passionate about, how we're going to build that emotional connection. We go down to brand, and brand defines your process or your implement the necessary strategies that you will need to get where you need to be. And this will define the how. So if I've done my job properly, I've given you a template by the end of the 4 weeks. And as I said, this week is vision, next week will be passion, the week after will be brand, and you're probably thinking, what's the 4th week? It'll be a summary, go over a template, and we're going to have some really cool time with our advisors doing Q&A. So what I ask you to do is, as we roll through this, is collate a series of questions. Collate a series of questions that are relevant to you. And what we'll do in the last session is you'll have your opportunity to ask me questions. You'll have opportunity to ask your advisors as a panel questions. And that's really where we bring it home on that last day, is that we really start to define and answer your questions based on what we're going through in the next 3 sessions. And then you can branch off and decide which advisor is best for you and all the rest of it. Now, ASBAS will put it up, and the guys at Business Station, Agatha and John and their team will put all the links up so that you'll have all the links to the advisors that can help you and do what you're doing, and explore that further. So what I want to do is start off with, let's cap vision, right? It's the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. And you'll see there, and I put these slides up in detail because you can keep them, you can refer back to them and all the rest of it. But our goals and visions are completely different. We need to really understand that, and I'm going to go into depth after. But envisioning a future place, you're setting a goal where you will measure your success. These are all the reasons of why we need a vision, right? You're laying down your strategic plan, which gives you the foundation to succeed. You can't build a plan if we don't have a vision. And the vision must be customer focused. For Di Bella, when I started in 2002, it wasn't about coffee. There was 1,500 competitors who had coffee. What it was about building the ultimate coffee experience. And that was our vision, where the consumers got to have this ultimate coffee experience, and everything else just flowed down from that. When we get to passion, we're going to be looking at things like education, opportunity, You know, we're going to be talking about a strong and barely controllable emotion that evokes action. It drives you no matter what. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about there is around emotions. We're going to talk about motivation. We're going to talk about resilience. We're going to talk about the key foundations that make you achieve these outcomes. What drives you? Not just this idea spark in the head that says, hey, I'm going to do this, and then it falls over. We're going to be covering things like that. And then when we get to brand, we're going to talk about, brand is a product, service, or concept that's publicly distinguished from other products, and yada, yada, yada. We're going to really hone in on emotional engagement. We're going to really hone in on telling that story to people. We're going to hone in on how to build a marketing plan that is based all around brand and outcomes. So this is what we've got to look forward to in the next few workshops. You can obviously come to them individually and then catch up later, but I do recommend obviously to be part of each one, because they will flow, and we will finish on workshop 4 with your advisors and ability to ask them questions, get some nuggets, and then further connect with them to go off and doing some one-on-one mentoring. So brief overview. I will get the advisors that are online to be able to, that could make it today, to introduce themselves after, but I will go into vision and spend the next, say, 25, 30 minutes covering it. And then we'll get the advisors to introduce themselves, do a wrap up, and this has been recorded. It will be uploaded. Agatha will connect with you all. She's been wonderful. She's very efficient, and we'll go from there. So, vision. What is this thing, vision? Now, again, I've overloaded the slides so that you've got all the details and the notes, and I'll talk through them, but I'll talk through examples from my perspective. But as we're going, list any of those questions, take the notes that are relevant to you, your business, your position, where you are today. But vision is all about the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. That's what the Google definition is. So think about it, ability to think. A lot of people have a dream and they say, well, what's the difference? A dream and a vision, they're completely different. Why? We're going to get into another word for wisdom, that vision. Why don't I have this vision? We talk about foresight, imagination, discernment, inspiration, intuition, inventiveness, perception. In order to have a very wise vision, then you need to have foresight, imagination. You need to be discerning. You need to be inspirational. All of these things that are listed here make up the foundation of what I call, a wisdom, to have a clear vision, and that separates it from a dream. People say, why vision? Well, this is something that we talk about here, is why have a clear vision? And it's very simple. If you don't know where you want to go, then it makes a little difference if you make no progress in getting there. If you don't have that outcome in mind, and for me, outcomes are always customer focused. So I talked about the ultimate coffee experience. It's all about being customer focused, externally focused to deliver an outcome. And if I didn't have that vision of where I wanted to be, if I didn't know what that outcome was going to be, then it wouldn't make a difference in how I got there. So I saw Di Bella in cafes, not in restaurants or supermarkets, right? So what we have to really understand, I saw it in cafes and restaurants, not in supermarkets. The biggest coffee company in the country is Victoria, and 70% of their business is supermarkets, right? And they do a great job. They're an amazing company that really streamlines and heads up that space of, supermarket coffee sales. That's not a space where I saw Di Bella brand. I saw it in the cafes and in the restaurants, dealing with owners. That's what I want. The vision was to sell a service proposition, not a product. And the amount of people that want to try and sell product, you've got to sell a service proposition. So for me, the vision was about servicing our clientele, helping them make money. Di Bella was to be the market leader in service, industry knowledge, product quality and value. That was the vision we had, was that we needed to be that market leader. Now, all of these ideas of vision then came down to strategy, right? And as I said, at the end of this, you want to be able to have a very clear, articulate template on how to build a strategic plan. And it all starts with vision. I go in here explaining, I hired people with the right attitude and I taught the skills so we could deliver on my vision. Our vision, our mission, values, objective, and strategies is all centered around the vision. The clear vision allowed both the internal team and potential customers to understand what they could get from doing business with us. So I say to people, when you're in business, especially small business, can your customer clearly articulate what your purpose is? Can they articulate your why, your vision? All of the same thing, vision, purpose, why. The reason I love vision is because it's actually outcome focused. So if I talk to my customers, can they tell me what my vision is? And if they can, I've done a great job. Vision is what you see, what you want to achieve, what you believe you can achieve. And this is something that really starts to make it quantifiable. If you look at Steve Jobs and Apple, he sold one device to replace many others. When he was trying to sell a phone at a time where phones were getting smaller, he struggled. The moment that he said, I'm not selling a phone, I'm selling a device that replaces others, then he started to get traction. And if you look at Apple now, one of the biggest companies in the world, the race was crazy. You and me, it was how small could phones get? Motorola, Nokia. These were the brands that were actually running the race. When he started to articulate what his vision was, and he started to sell a vision, not a product, and there's a key takeout there, he started to sell a vision and not a product, then it started to grow. Now, if you think about it, we've got, 50% to 70% of the world all buy an Apple phone. He didn't try to change the phone design, but rather he changed the way the messaging was. And the key takeaway there is, in your business, are you selling a product or are you selling a vision? Your vision needs to be futuristic, something that becomes tangible to you and your team and your customers, a destination. Remember that the vision is not just about the customers. The vision is about the people that work within your organization. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's one employee or 1,000. Everyone that turns up to work has to have that vision. They have to be on the same page of what they want to achieve. And if you can't get them on the same page, they're not going to turn up and do and live that vision with you. DBC create a future place where customers engaged in, where they could enjoy the ultimate coffee experience. Very simple, right? It was all about producing coffee worth coming back for. This was to do with our products. And to do with our people internally, it was to be an employer of choice, where we had a vision where we wanted people to choose to come and work for us, that we didn't have to advertise to staff. These are some of the key fundamental vision strategies that we put in place. And then, of course, everything else cascaded from that. But it was about building a destination, but not only for our customers, but for the people that work within our organization. Now, a vision should be able to hold you accountable and help you shape the strategies you require to succeed, right? It builds your roadmap for success. So when we had the ultimate coffee experience, when it was all about delivering this ultimate coffee experience, that was the consumer vision. And I'm going to dissect here. The consumer vision, the ultimate coffee experience. And the consumer for us was the person who bought the cup of coffee from the cafe. They were one target audience for us. The other target audience was actually our customer, which was the cafe owner. So what we had to do was build a vision around both. So our vision for the consumer was the ultimate coffee experience. The vision for the cafe owner was actually to help them make money. So to help them make money, especially at a time where people were just selling a product, we were going to help them make money. How we got paid was through the transaction of coffee. Now that vision of helping cafe owners make money built our roadmap. So what we had to do to deliver that vision was we had to set up networking with milk suppliers, with fruit and veggie suppliers, with menu designers, with marketers, with lawyers, with accountants, so that we could help the cafe owner with advice, that we could make introductions, we could get them network buying prices, that we could fast track a lot of the red tape in whatever they need. I even got involved with councils to be able to understand how hospitality works so that we could advise our cafes, all at no charge. But those strategies all filtered down to my vision of helping cafe owners make money. The vision from the ultimate coffee experience is where our supply chain was built off. If we're going to provide the ultimate coffee experience, we have to be consistent. We have to build products that go well with milk, that don't need sugar, all the things that the Australian consumer loves to drink in their coffee. And we had to secure our supply chain, so that one thing Australians love is consistency. So then out of that vision of the ultimate coffee experience fell out all of these strategies that we had to do to actually build. So it helped that vision on both the consumer and the customer help us build the roadmap for the business. How do you build a roadmap? You've got to reverse engineer it. You've got to look from the outside in. You've got to start with your customers and what problem you're going to solve. Doesn't matter how good you think your business is. If you are not solving a problem, you don't have a business. If the customer doesn't want to engage with whatever product or service you're selling, you don't have a business. You're not viable. Doesn't matter how good you think you are. You need to build that business from the outside in. Now, you need to lay out your challenges. You need to really, really be honest. And unfortunately, 16,000 conversations we have with ourselves every day. Unless we're realistic, and that's why I love pen and paper, we can feed ourselves a lot of garbage that we shouldn't actually be feeding ourselves. But you've got to be honest. What does strategic vision why does strategic vision or goals exist? They're not about feeding your ego. Now, the key takeaway out of this is don't let business feed your ego. Business needs to solve a problem. So you need to really ask what your strategic vision or goal exists. What purpose does it exist? Is it to feed your ego, or is it to solve a problem? You need to set your objectives. You need to ask yourself, what must you achieve to address these challenges? What are the challenges, right? So these are the things that start to build a roadmap to vision. Lay out your challenges. Ask yourself, why does a strategic vision or goal exist? 2, set your objectives. Ask yourself, what must you achieve to address the challenges? 3, assess your capability. Now, this is where a lot of people let themselves down, right? You've got to ask yourself, what capabilities do I need to invest in to meet these objectives? And unfortunately, what we do, and it's a self-preservation in us, the fight, the flight or fight, is we actually stand in front of a mirror and we talk garbage to ourselves. We get our abilities and capabilities mixed up, and all of a sudden we're caught in a spiral doing things that we shouldn't be doing or that we're not qualified to be doing. So you really need to do a capabilities assessment to make sure you know what you can and can't do, and then you need to make sure you're investing in in the areas that you need so that you can meet those capabilities. Determine your course of action. Ask yourself, in what order should I prioritize? And that is something that people don't do. They build these to-do lists, but they don't prioritize what needs to happen. You need to understand, in what order do I need the course of action? Of course, when I was a startup, I couldn't go out there and deal directly with farmers with coffee because I didn't have the volume. However, it was a vision of mine that I wanted to complete. So down the track, I made sure that I said the end game will be to completely secure my supply chain. However, before I do that, before I fulfill that vision, I need to take steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 so that I can be sustainable. So there, it's in writing. Obviously, you guys have got access to it, but how to build that roadmap is there. Lay out your challenges, set your objectives, assess your capabilities, and then determine your course of action. There's 3 phases that I say to people in business. You need to build strategy, right? You need to execute strategy, and then you need to have the right people both internally and externally in the business. Because if you don't have those 3 things, you got nothing. And I see a lot of people building great strategy. They know how to personally execute, but they surround themselves with the wrong people. Or they have good strategy, they have good people, but they don't know how to execute. So you need to make sure you're getting those 3 things right, and building and having a strong vision will help you ensure that the strategy is right, the execution is right, and you have the right people internally and externally to be surrounded in your business. Next one is to give yourself the authority to see the future. Use people that have done this to guide you as mentors, and always ignore the pessimists, cynics, and dreamers. And that's why advisors are good. That's why ASBAS has put together a team of advisors to be able to hold your hand. The people that are sometimes the worst people are those that are too close to us. And I'll use this as an example. I'll use myself as an example. My father, I'm a son of migrants, migrated here in the 50s with my mum, my brother and sister, very conservative, found a government job, stayed there for 30 odd years, never left, kept saying to me, get a degree, go to get a stable job, have a family, yada, 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 yada. Well, I got married, had a family, but how boring if I didn't go out and start my own company. And the thing was that I love my parents dearly, but if I sat there and I kept listening to my dad, I would never have gone out and started my own company, because he didn't believe in the risk. He didn't think that I should be taking the risk. Now, in this case, it's my dad. It's a person close to me. It's somebody I love. However, not the right mentor, not the right advisor to have around me at that time. So I surrounded with people that are often, it's best to be surrounded by people that don't have an emotional connection to you, but they're actually going to give you advice. And again, this is where the advisors come in. It's great to have access to people like this, because they can look at your business, they can talk to you, and then they can give you guidance and advice and strategic advice that comes from a very, very high level rather than an emotional level or being too close. But you need to give yourself the authority to see the future. This is what Steve Jobs did at Apple. It was about one device to replace many. Henry Ford and the Ford motor car was about democratizing cars. At a time that cars were so expensive, Henry Ford came along and said, I'm going to make cars affordable for everybody. Bill Gates and Microsoft, before he built Microsoft, what problem was he solving? What was his vision? A computer on every desk. Now, he couldn't put a computer on every desk because you'd have to learn code. Now, a lot of people listening to this are probably too young to understand code. I was just at the end of it where it was DOS, you know, and then Microsoft came, thank God for that, because I was limited in what I could do on a computer because I didn't know code. Microsoft came out and all of a sudden, wow, look at what we can do. More people bought computers. But he gave himself the authority to see the future. And of late, Elon Musk, Tesla, and SpaceX, when everyone kept telling him not going to happen, you can't do it, look at what he's created. Now, you don't, these are brands, I've picked brands that everybody would know. But you think of the brands that you interact with. You think of businesses that you admire. Think of products, services, people that you admire, that you like, and all the rest of it. And you will see that there is a story there where the founder or the person in charge or taking it to where it is, because it's not always the founder. Starbucks is that. Mr. Howard Schultz, an amazing businessman in the coffee industry. He didn't find, well, he wasn't the founder of Starbucks. He was actually a supplier who then saw what it could be, became an employee, and took it to greatness. So it's not always the founder that takes it to greatness, just FYI. But whatever it is to create magic is you've got to give yourself the authority to see the future. You've got to be looking down the track. You've got to be looking at that 3, 5, 10 years. You know, people look at Jeff Bezos and say Amazon, you know, richest man in the world. Wow, how can he be $190 billion? That story started 20 years ago, you know, and the planning for that probably started 10 years before that. You got to, we might see it as overnight success, but but most of them have put that work in, that effort. They're solving problems. They've got a clear vision. They know where they want to be, what problem they're solving. All the things that we have covered in the last 20 minutes. Now, summary on vision, you know, and then I'm going to hand over and introduce over to our advisors to see who's online. And Agatha, I'll need your help there. Also, again, I'm a novice to this whole new system. Bear with me. I'm used to being in front of people. So I hope it's all coming across okay. The summary here is very simple. Goals and visions are completely different, right? A vision is what you see. It's an outcome. It revolves. A set of goals sits under vision. Goals funnel down to create one big vision. And in case of Di Bella, from a consumer, the ultimate coffee experience. One of the goals for that was to have a fully integrated supply chain. One of the other goals was to have in-house trainers. Another goal was to secure the distribution Australia-wide. So you can see that those goals filter down to the vision of the ultimate coffee experience. So we need to understand that goals and visions are completely different. The next one is, by envisioning a future place, you're setting a goal by which what you will measure your success. You need to get yourself out of the weeds and above it. You need to really understand that why. You really need to understand what your vision, how will it change what you're doing? How will it change your space? How will it change, the landscape of your industry? And for me, it wasn't about producing great coffee. What I changed the landscape of is I turned a product industry where 1,500 people used to sell coffee. I turned it into a service business. It was all about service. It was all about working with cafe owners to make sure that we could help them make money, be sustainable, be efficient, and still provide amazing product. So you need to understand, what that vision is of the future place. What does it look like? How will you shape your change or add to your industry? Because that will set the basis of success. Remember that you're laying down your strategic plan, which gives you the foundations to succeed. But you can't build a strategic plan without a vision. Like I said earlier, where you're going doesn't matter if you don't know where you want to go. So how to get somewhere if you don't know where you're going means nothing. Your vision is where you're going, your outcome. Your strategic plan is how you're going to get there. So I see so many people talking about, I'm going to do strategy. We're doing strategy planning, strategy this, strategy that, strategy this. And all of a sudden you go, well, strategy for what? What's the vision? What is it that you're going to achieve? What does success look like to you in 3 years and 5 years? How are you going to change the landscape of where you want to be? What does this all look like? Right? And these are all the keys of laying the foundations to succeed. Now, remember, the vision must be customer focused. Unfortunately, I see a lot of visions from people saying, I want to make X amount of dollars. I want to retire rich. I want to buy 2 cars. I want to buy 2 houses. Unfortunately, a lot of people build visions around their needs or their wants. A vision to me must be customer focused. A vision must be external. A vision must be a problem you're going to solve. A vision's going to be a reason why somebody engages with you, and you start to see the flow from the examples that I've used, that everything around vision starts from the outside in. And if you're not starting from the outside in, then you're going to have a problem. And for us, it was the ultimate coffee experience. It was not about me. It was about the customer. It didn't matter whether I liked, loved, hated the coffee. What mattered was what the customers thought about the product. What did the customers Think about it. I've seen a lot of good chefs go broke because they put on a plate what they want to eat versus what a customer's prepared to pay for. I see the same thing with consultants. You know, they want to consult, but yet it's more about serving their ego than being in service and helping somebody. So it really, really is important that we understand that it's got to be external facing. We need to understand that, you know, what we do matters, and it's going to have an impact, but it is external facing. Now, before you know, I go on further, these are the great ASBAS advisors that, you know, they've put together. Agatha, John, and team at Business Station. You'll see here some really, really talented people. You've got Carolyn's from Queensland and Tracy. So you've got from Queensland, you've got Carolyn, Tracy, and Josh. Are all based in Queensland, and of course through the technology you can branch off and use any of these advisors down the track, or you can get in touch with them after this session. You just need to go to the businessstation.com.au/advisors, and you'll be able to click on and learn more about these people. From WA, you've got Sandra and Nathan, and from the Northern Territory, you've got Dante. If you're online, guys, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you, and of course we'll be together for the next 4 weeks. But the key, you know, that I say to people about strategy, and like I said, once we finish the 4 workshops, where do you want to be? Well, hopefully you've learned a little bit more about vision, passion, brand, but you've started to compile your template of strategic planning. You've started to compile, you know, that strategy of where your business needs to be, where you want it to be, and then filling in some fundamentals. But of course, it's a template. And the reason we've got the wonderful advisors is so that you can then reach out to them individually and multiple of them if you need to, and explore things further. All these guys have qualifications and expertise in certain areas. When you log online and have a look at their profiles, you'll see, right? And I was at an event this morning where somebody said, oh, who were your mentors? And I said, I never had one mentor. Because for me, it was about the environment. So I created an environment of advisors and mentors. And really, I spend a lot of time researching things that go wrong. I want to talk to businesses, to business owners. Oh, sorry, I want to look at businesses and I want to talk to business owners who didn't get things right. Some of my best learnings have been from things that I got wrong. Right, from products that I launched that didn't work, to business partnerships I went into that didn't work, you know, because sometimes all we see, and you know that classic picture where it says all we see what's above the top of the iceberg, we don't see what's under the water. And I can assure you, for every iceberg that looks amazing, big, tall and strong, everybody's got a story that sits underneath it. And the whole mission and the vision, I suppose, of ASBAS and Business Station with the federal government is to make sure that there's a resource network for small to medium businesses and small businesses and medium business and or SMEs, wherever you are in the cycle, and even people looking to get into business, that you have the resources to help you, you know, and that's the bottom line, is to be able to have resources to help you. Because again, business is tough, and if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. It's not tough because it's a cliche. It really is that if it was easy, everybody would be in business and everyone would be doing it. Then we have the other problem. If everybody was in business, then we'd have no one doing things. So if you look at the Gerber model of entrepreneurship, management, and technician, what we got to do in organizations, and again, it doesn't matter how big or small the businesses are, you need to have those that can execute from a technical level, those that can execute from a management level, and those that execute from an entrepreneurial intelligence level. And in a great business, the technician is thinking like a manager, and the manager is thinking like the entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur is thinking about how I can get better and better and empower everybody. So again, explaining a little bit of the why this workshop around entrepreneurial intelligence, why ASBAS advisors on board, what is the purpose of it from the Business Station, of course, and it all ties back to the federal government wanting to help SMEs be the best versions of themselves. And I know that that's what drives me, is to be able to help people be their best versions of themselves. Now, enough about me. What I'd love to do, Agatha, I need your help.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Phil.
See who's online, and if we can go around and they can introduce themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Oh, goodness. You know, you're such an amazing presenter. So thank you. What I do, if you don't mind, just stop sharing the screen, I guess, and I'm going to invite all the panelists to share their video or turn on their camera. And then if you stop sharing, I think, therefore, everyone.
Stop sharing. Okay, hang on. Where I go? Stop sharing. There we go.
All right, fantastic. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm going to put as gallery view. Advisors, if you don't mind just turning on your camera so we can see your beautiful face, and probably unmute yourself so you can actually, here we go. That's me. Carolyn,
Agatha,
Dante.
just so you know, we can't switch cameras on. It's been disabled.
Sorry. Yes, yes, yes. I do apologize. So let me just quickly do that. I just remember it's been a while for me to do this. I have to make all of you co-hosts. I was creating you, I guess, making you guys as a panelist. That's not enough to share camera. All right. I think everyone is now on. All right. Cool, cool, cool. So I think I won't do justice if I introduce yourself. So therefore, I'll just call out your name, introduce yourself, let everyone know essentially what you're offering and what's your expertise and what you can do to leverage what Phil has just mentioned in terms of course, entrepreneurial intelligence in vision. We'll start with Carolyn. Go right ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn. So what we specialize in is helping you and teaching you how to create compelling content that connects. So we pull that back a little bit and we start with who's your ideal client and how well do you know them? Because when you get that nailed down and locked in, everything else just flows so seamlessly from that. We have a motto here at Hawthorn Creative and it's user engagement equals sales. Now, in a nutshell, what is user engagement? So you're looking at interaction on your socials, you're looking at referrals, recommendations, personal messages, posts of support, anything that brings people into you and your business. In a nutshell, it is basically building relationship. So we teach you how to do that, how to understand that and what that process is, and then how that flows onto your digital marketing. So that's me in a nutshell. And thank you, Phil, for a wonderful presentation. As always, you're amazing.
Thank you. And I think you're part of the Coffee Commune group as well, isn't it, Carolyn? And I want to hear more about it in a minute, because I think that's a fantastic drive from Phil and the Coffee Commune guys. We'll go with Dante next. Hey, Dante, welcome.
Hi, I'm Dante St. James. I've just had a monsoonal downpour just outside, so things might get a bit scary here. A bit of an online business nomad. I'm currently based in Darwin, hence the monsoon, but constantly wandering between little bases that I have in Darwin, Broome, North Queensland, and Southeast Queensland as well. At the core, I'm all about transforming hesitant, stuck, confused small businesses into much more capable and confident marketers through a bunch of workshops, courses, one-to-one advisory sessions, primarily through, of course, the ASBAS Digital Solutions program right here. That's why you're here today. Through Facebook Australia and New Zealand, I work with them, and Google Australia's Digital Springboard program. And I'm currently working really intensively with Tourism NT, Whitsundays Tourism, the Northern Territory Government's Business Growth and Innovation programs, New South Wales Health. I can go on and on and on and on, but my main focus for businesses this year is to work alongside those who are in tourism, hospitality, and events. And if you're on this webinar, that's likely you, particularly if you've been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. So some of those specific areas I'm looking to assist you with as an advisor or as a trainer, I guess, is through websites and e-commerce, social media, digital marketing, you know, the Facebook, the Instagrams, the LinkedIns, the Pinterest, and just quietly those new ones like TikTok and Clubhouse as well, and helping your small business to operate more smoothly with those basics of cybersecurity and keeping your information safe online as well. Back to you, Agatha.
Thank you, Dante. That's fantastic. I know it's a rap sheet of your bio. I think is as long as you know the lines to go to Phil Di Bella coffee shop. So next we got Tracy. Hey Tracy, welcome.
How you doing, Dante? I love that you gave Clubhouse a shout out, my friend. It's my favorite platform right now. Guys, thanks so much for joining this afternoon. Just want to let you know I'm coming today from the land of the Kibba Kibba people and Jindabarra people on the Sunshine Coast. So a bit like Dante, I'm a bit of a nomad, so I'm hanging out on the sunny coast for a couple of days, catching up with some clients and drinking some good coffee at some coffee shops. So I have 30 years experience in marketing and sales. I'm a CPM, so Certified Practicing Marketer, and I'm also the author of the forthcoming The End of Technophobia, a practical guide for digitizing your business. And I guess that came about because of a lot of the clients that I've been working with through the ASBAS community. A lot of the small business owners are typically, like me, over 35, over 35. Gee, I'm being a little kind of, I'm being a little, you know, anyway, over 45, shall we say. We're Gen X, and technology happened to us. So there's a lot of overwhelm around, how do I adopt? What should I be using? How can I increase efficiency? How can I increase productivity? So we really start from that strategic piece of just stepping right back, having a look, as Phil talked about earlier, that vision. Where are you going? Why do you want to get there? And then putting a roadmap in place to help you achieve that, whether that's through digital marketing tools, whatever other tools that we need to accommodate that. I'm working with these fabulous people on screen all the time. One of the beautiful things that you'll find about the ASBAS program is that we will happily recommend and refer other advisors for you when a position or something comes available that's not our area of expertise. We're not those people that kind of go, oh, we're going to do everything and keep you close. No, I'm very happy to go, do you know what, Facebook? Dante, my friend, he's all over that thing completely. So we're very happy to work in with each other. Love podcasting. I'm one of the podcast pioneers in Australia. I started the world's first panel style podcast, and I hang out a lot judging things now, not just people. I judge the Australian Podcast Awards and the Business Book Awards. And so I'm really working with small business owners all the time to elevate their profile, to get those tools in place that allow you to actually take a step back and just breathe and enjoy your business. And to be able to do that through technology is a beautiful thing. As Dante so eloquently put in his radio voice, back to you in the studio, Agatha.
I'm loving this. I think I want to see 5 of you doing a podcast together. I think that's going to be a superstar podcast, that's for sure. And just to let everyone know, Phil Di Bella has his own podcast. Ever since we engaged Phil Di Bella, I've been a follower, Phil, such a big fan, and I re-listen from your podcast from day one. Everyone, thank you for the questions. Keep the questions coming through, and we will be answering your questions live. So last but definitely not least, and the newest advisors of ASBAS Advisory, Joshua Clifton. Take it away.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Thanks again, Phil, for that great presentation. Vision is absolutely paramount in any business, and I think those key points there, a lot of people are going to get a lot of takeaways from, including myself. I'm always learning, so it's always great to hear those things. My role is to help people create exceptional customer experience. I've been in the industry in the hot years, where I've done marketing, worked with award-winning cafes, bars and restaurants around Australia. I'm recently a published author with the Hospitality Survival Guide, where I was a finalist in the Australian Business Book Awards. And now I consult and partner with companies throughout Australia for the hospitality industry and others as well. And the whole point of saying all those kind of things is not an ego thing, as I definitely listening with Philip there. It's to do around my knowledge in the industry and my passion and vision around creating those exceptional customer experiences and how vital that is for a business. And we break that down into 3 parts, where it's understanding your internals of the business, your externals, and your core product itself. I have a huge passion for people and communication. And what I've learned is if you can understand your customers, if you can understand your core business and how you communicate across those platforms, that's the foundation for an exceptional business. And I help customers and clients alike break all that down and make sure that their vision is met from the very start.
Thank you, Joss. Yes. Thank you, Jess. That was fantastic. All right. I think, truly superstar cast here we've got today. And I've got quite a few live questions, and we do have some, questions that were asked beforehand. So we'll just go through the live ones, and, don't be shy, guys. Just type in this in the Q&A or in the chat, and, Phil and, of course, all the other advisors are definitely be happy to answer. Now, the first question from Vanessa here. What is the problem if your customer or clients come to you for a different purpose to yours? Phil, probably if you want to take that away. So what is the problem?
Can you hear me? Am I good? Am I live? You can hear me? Great. This is where it comes into values. And not enough organizations talk about their values. And one of the first things I say to people is you do need to do a values analysis of your organization. And you will see that most likely, especially in startup businesses, the values of the organizations will be very, very closely aligned to your values. So in short, you know, a lot of people get caught in a position where they say, oh, I want to take the money because I need the money, so I'll do the business. They haven't come to me because of the problem I can solve or the problem that I've actually marketed. They've come to me for a different reason, but I'll take their money because I need it. An example I'll give, and I love using examples and analogies because it brings it to life, and it's a difference between an opinion, obviously, and a fact, is that when I was approached by Coles Supermarket to put my product on the shelf, we were the fastest growing coffee company in the country. You know, we were expanding rapidly across the country. There was demand for our product on supermarket shelf. And I turned around to Coles and I said, no, don't get me wrong. I would love your check. I would love your money. However, the value of selling a product that is supposed to be bespoke and specialty in a supermarket shelf doesn't align with the values that I have of the organization. We can't be bespoke. We can't be intimate. We can't be tailored if we're going to be mass produced onto a supermarket shelf. But it's not that supermarket was wrong. It didn't align with the values that I have of the organization. So that's the simple answer is understand the values. And if it contradicts your values, don't do the business. If it sits within your values, go ahead and do the business.
Fantastic. I think that's a very good answer. Anyone else want to add to that? I think that's sort of spot on, right on target there. We're all good? Okay, I'm sure there are a lot of questions here. So, Phil, how many years, and it's actually everyone can answer this. I think this is a very good one. How many years do you have your strategic plan run for? In the current climate, is it best to have a shorter one, like 1 or 2 years? But of course, keen to understand what you do and how often do you review your strategic plan? That's from
Love it. Great question. So I've always run off, there's 3 stages to my strategic planning. The one that I use myself is around 5 years, and this is only for me. I don't actually share this with my team. I run off a 5-year cycle of trying to anticipate the future. You know, the conception of the coffee commune was something I thought about 5 to 7 years ago. However, on paper, I run on 3-year strategic plans. However, I'm saying that because the great point there was made in times, you know, of change and how things come at you. My 3-year plan I stick to still works for the following reason. I've always worked off a physical 3-year plan with my team, my exec team, and my staff, because it sets the groundwork of now to 3 years. However, then we back, and what we do is we go 3 years, 12 months, quarterly, right? So we run off for 3 years. This is where we want to be. This is our vision for 3 years. We then set the strategic objectives for 12 months, because that then allows us to chop and change if something gets thrown at us. And we revise it quarterly, which answers the second part of that question. Strategic plans must be work in progress documents. If they're any bigger than, say, 5 pages, they're a waste of time, right? I actually try and get a strategic plan down to a 1-page overview. I will share it in the last workshop. I use the Gazelles model, Vern Hamish and Gazelles, a 1-page strategy document. Everything's on a page. It breaks it down to 3 years, 12 months, quarterly objectives, and that way it's a working document. It has to be a working document.
Love it. Love it. I think that's a very good answer. Josh, would you like to add a couple of more lines on that, or what do you think?
Yeah, look, I believe the biggest takeaway for any sort of strategic plan for the last 12 months, 16 months have taught us is our ability to adapt and the ability to be flexible with that change. It's crucial to have that long-term vision, that long-term plan, 3 year, 1 year, whatever it is, but be flexible enough to know that it can change literally overnight and be okay with changing on the fly.
No, I love that. Absolutely. With the current climate, isn't it? It's kind of unpredictable and you don't know where it goes, especially with technology. All right. So, you know, Carolyn, Dante, or Tracy, is there any addition to what we just mentioned? I think they both covered it well. Cool.
Sorry, I was just going to say, definitely it's the last step, you know, coming out of COVID, or if we are, building in that ability to pivot in your business has been something that I've seen through a lot of the small businesses that we've had advisory sessions with, and having that in the back of your mind is, if I need to, where do I go to from here, and making sure that that forms part of your strategic plan as well.
That's a very good point. Thanks, Carolyn. Fantastic. All right, so I've got a question here from Anthony, and it's a question for Phil. Phil, what is the key differentiator that separated you from other coffee suppliers when you exited to RFJ for $47 million, i.e., what was the value that RFJ saw in your business? I.e., was it the long-term contracts with cafes and clients? What is the brand and what is something else? If it was something else, that's Anthony.
Yeah, good question and well articulated, because most of the time people just want to know how much did you sell for and why. So it's really well articulated. There's a couple of points to that. It was a 12-time multiple, so it was a record set in this country. The previous sale in a coffee business was grinders to Coca-Cola for 27 million. So not only was it a new record, it was nearly double. Well, it was over double because the initial deal was closer, was a lot more with that, with other stuff. But anyway, it doesn't matter about the dollars. Why did they pay more? They paid more because of the brand, right? Now, there's a couple of really key takeaways. Brand. If you have a look at brand valuations around the world, some of the key brands that are highly valued don't actually make any money. Uber's one of them, right? Classic example, very, very high brand valuation, makes no income, right? Facebook made no income for a long time, even though the valuation was there. So brand, definitely. It's always going to get you your attention. People are going to want to buy the best in market, and they're always going to pay more for it. The next thing is something that I learned from Richard Branson when I got to spend a week at Necker Island in his place, and that is you've always got to exit when there's a gap in the marketplace. You've always got to exit and leave something on the table for the next person. He calls it the ceiling. If you sell when you're at the top of the ceiling and there's no space, then you will never get the highest possible multiple, because you've got to be able to exit at a time where someone else can build something on top of it. And I exited to RFG because at the time, forget what's happened since then now, so 2015 to now, big changes obviously in RFG. But at the time, they had the same values I did. Their purpose to buy my organisation was we were their first ever non-franchise acquisition, and their value and their purpose to buy us, their vision in buying us, was to become a fully integrated business where it had its own coffee, its own tea, its own distribution to service its franchisees. Now, of course, if you follow the retail food group story, they execute poorly. They've done a lot of things in the back end that's got them into a lot of trouble, and they're not in a healthy position today. And that's not my opinion. You can follow the facts. From what was an $8 share price is now 8 cents. So what their intention was, and we'll get into this in the next workshops, what your vision is doesn't always get executed correctly. But the reason they bought, it was a very smart strategic buy to buy Di Bella. We were the biggest in the country in where they wanted to play. It was their first non-franchise acquisition, and they were prepared to pay more because of the brand, but they also had the infrastructure. But the bottom line was that we got out leaving something on the table for them to build on.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. And don't forget, the webinar number 3 is brand. Webinar number 2 is passion. And of course, the 4th one is when everyone can ask anything they want to, Phil and the advisors. I'm really looking forward to that. Cool. And Anthony said, awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right. Another question from John. Phil, when you were starting up, right? And every one of us, we know how it feels like to start up. When you were starting up, how did you handle the self-doubt that you could do it? We all have self-doubt.
We do. My biggest advice here is 2 pieces. One, learn how to channel your self-doubt into inspiration. Make your self-doubt become the fuel you put in your petrol tank to go hard. Because what I mean by that is you'll be very conscious. Use the self-doubt to keep you sharp. Jim Collins calls it productive paranoia. Self-doubt is good. A little bit of fear is good. It's what saves us from jumping out in front of a bus, all sorts of stuff. Fear is good if you channel it the right way. And the second part of that is get the right people around you. Get people like the advisors that you're listening to here that are at the business station. Get them around you. Get people around you that are going to help you. People that are going to look at something from the helicopter view. They're going to have a look at it from a different perspective. And the example I want to give here is an exercise they do. My wife recently finished a course on perspectives. Right, and I'm going to give it to you in 30 to 60 seconds. Right, think of this as an exercise. It's amazing, and this is why you need to surround yourself with the group of the right people around you. A car accident happens. there's 5 different seats to view this car accident. There's the driver, the passenger, the person who gets hit, the person that's looking at it from the street, and the person that's looking at it from a building 10 stories in the sky. They play the accident. They get each person to write 1 sentence on what they see. They come back and collate the information, and it's completely different. Whose fault was it? Was one person says they were speeding, another one says they weren't speeding, someone said they gave way, they didn't give way. The 5 answers that came back were completely different. The moral of the story, it depends on what seat of the bus and where you're looking at something that will base your perspective. But there's one thing that underpins all of it, and that is your motivation or intention. So you need to surround yourself with the right people that where their motivation and intention is to help you. Their motivation and intention is not to take a piece of your business or to be jealous that you're going to succeed. You need to get the right advisors, the right people around you, create an environment, an ecosystem around people that are giving you advice for nothing else in return besides they want to see you prosper.
Wow, great answer. Thanks, Phil. Thanks. That was really a 60-second exercise that's very valuable. Another question here from Vanessa. How would you deal with the visibility of an innovative product that will solve a huge problem that goes against the old way, manual way of completing the process? But how would you deal with this visibility and this process, basically dealing with a change of culture and mindset? Sorry, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm muted. Here we go. Vanessa, you're going to have to tune into episode 2, 3, and 4, but I'm going to give you something to think about, right? When I grew up as a kid, and I'm only 45, so I'm not that, and I still act like a kid sometimes, just ask my wife. When I grew up, my parents, being Italian, said, don't you ever get in the car with a stranger. Now we jump in an Uber without thinking about it, right? My parents used to say, don't touch food that strangers have handled. Now we get Foodora, DoorDash, Uber delivered, and we're happy to eat it. Start to see the moral of the story. We can get anyone to do anything we want. We can get people to change behaviors anytime. We need 2 key things. We need to generate a message and execute that builds emotional engagement. So we need to message through execution where the result is emotional engagement. Right, so think about that because we're going to cover it in the next 2 sessions, and then obviously there can be a lot more questions around it. But you can get anyone to do anything, and you'll notice that I talk a lot about analogies because it moves it away from an opinion to a factual base that you can relate to. There is no way we would tell our kids or anyone years ago to jump in a car with a stranger. Now we do it without thinking about it. Right? We'd never allow people to bring food to our door that we didn't know, and now we're happy to do it. Right? Why? Now, don't hone in on whether that's right or wrong. Hone in why people are doing it, and they're doing it every day. The reason is something has emotionally engaged with people to bypass all of those years of programming to now create a new realm. So it is possible. You can do it. I was told many times that I couldn't build a service business, that I was stupid. Coffee was about products. Brands are products. They're not products. Products is the transaction. Brand, which we're going to cover in session 3, right? People's actions, people's visions, they are emotions. And when you play with emotions, and a lot of the advisors, well, all of the advisors mentioned one key word, people. You will see that the right people talk about people. They don't talk about products. Product is what you transact. People is who you transact with.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Now we have a few more questions. I know I'm a bit mindful with time, but can we give a plug on Coffee Commune? What is it, Coffee Commune? The concept, and what is it, especially for people outside Queensland, perhaps to get an understanding on this, Phil, and potentially what is it, the community that you're trying to build? Could you explain a little bit on that?
Yeah, so first of all, you can get a lot more information from the www.thecoffeecommune, so coffeecommune.com.au. Now, I'm going to start with using the material we talked about. The vision for the commune is to accelerate people's potential. Does it matter? And our ecosystem, so our industry is coffee, cafe owners, hospitality. And it doesn't matter whether you're a coffee enthusiast, so you love coffee, whether you're a barista, cafe owner, or restaurant owner, a roaster or a supplier that supplies somebody in hospitality. That includes advisors, it includes, finance, marketing, anyone or anything that does business with hospitality, then we are your Mecca. And what that is the coffee commune is a facility. It's a movement. It's a product. It's not a brand of coffee. It's not a brand of, it's not a thing like the Bella coffee was one channel. It was a product. The coffee commune is a brand that is a facility. It is a movement. It is a Mecca of where people come to interact to accelerate their potential, no matter where they sit in the ecosystem of cafe and hospitality. So how I measure success, my vision is that I help others accelerate their potential. And I mean, take Josh, who's doing work with us, for instance. How can I help him accelerate his potential with the great work that he's doing? No different to this webinar with ASBAS, no different to obviously the advisors on here. How can I help accelerate their potential so that they can accelerate their audience's potential? Now, again, we're based, yes, in Queensland and Brisbane focused from a physical point, but yet we have education programs that are all part of your membership, no extra cost, because we're not a training organisation. Is the education side is to help people accelerate their potential. The advocacy side is to help people accelerate their potential. The efficiency side is to accelerate their potential. We've got a production arm that produces coffee from small amounts to massive amounts, not under our brand, under people's brand. So if you follow the drop shipping phenomenon, that's we've got schools coming to us saying, I want to create our own fundraising coffee brand. We're doing small stuff to very big stuff to big chains. The big one for us that's happened of late is roasting businesses that have actually, their roasters are broken down, would normally have to give away business or struggle and roast at 2 a.m. They can call us, come down here and use our facility as an emergency backup. So there's a lot of things we're doing, hard to explain in a short period of time, but 4 businesses in one. But the Coffee Commune is a solutions-based organisation. It's a brand, it's a facility, it's a movement. There will be one in other parts of the country, no doubt, in years to come, but the focus is to get it right here. It's never been done in Australia to this level and this scope of what we're doing. But again, we are not a coffee brand. So when people come in and say, I want to buy your coffee, well, it's not my coffee. You either manufacture your own or we design one for you.
That is fantastic. And, Dave Edward here just commenting that is very inspiring. I agreed. And he's really looking forward to next week for our second webinar. Now, we are running out of time. So we always want to leave you wanting more. I just wanted to kind of thank Phil for this amazing hour. I would like to thank all the panelists, Carolyn, Dante, Josh, and Tracy for, of course, joining us. All their profile is in the chat, and we will share it again in our communication with you with the recording of this. Do book one-on-one with any of these advisors. They're more than happy to help you and your business. This is the limited edition of Entrepreneur Celebrity Webinars. Phil is our pilot, and we're very excited. I think this is absolutely exciting. So Business Station, through the ASBAS Digital Solutions, we are delivering series of these webinars, workshops, online workshops, and face-to-face, as well as one-on-one advisory. So feel free to register if you haven't registered. And then I think you'll find it through this program. It is very useful. You've got about 80 advisors you can choose from in terms of different expertise, different topics, and different help. So essentially, Phil, would you like to say just one last takeaway before we essentially call it an end?
Yeah, I just said, no matter what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, remember that life is measured in moments. And it's a key message I spoke about this morning is that let's not forget that life is measured in moments. Everything is a journey. So let's try and move away from destination focus to enjoying the journey. The ups and the downs. The downs help you appreciate the ups. The ups are going to come with the downs. It's all part of that journey. And remember to create as many memorable moments along the way, because at the end of the day, that's what is measured when we pass on.
Thank you. That is fantastic. All right, everyone, I'll see you next week, same time. And it's going to be every Wednesday for the next 3 weeks. All right, take care. Bye.